Hi, everyone. So I just came from the bathroom and I ran into a white guy who had this confused look on his face. He was like, 2 women's bathrooms? No men's bathrooms on this level? And I was just thinking to myself, this is how a lot of us women feel when we go to a tech event, to a financial services event, to a insert word event. And it was really exciting to see this huge room with so many supporters. So thank you so much, Doreen, for your intro and for saying my name right. I love it when they get it right. I'm an LGBTQ Latina, so I usually get exhausted at a lot of events. Thank you. I can see, I don't know if it's Latino or LGBTQ, at least it's one of them, right? It gets very exhausting to go to a lot of these tech events. That's why I was mentioning it, because it's calling out racism, sexism, homophobia, otherisms. And just today has been such a remarkable event, starting with the Girl Scouts stepping and with such powerful stories today. I wanted to share a little bit about what Python Fellowship does, and then I plan on really getting inspired by today's theme, which is Here, Now, for Her. So Python Fellowship, as Doreen mentioned, is an angel investing bootcamp for women, and we have 2 simple, very, very simple goals: to change the face of angel investing and to create capital for women entrepreneurs. Yes, I do have some depressing stats to share with you. In 2013, out of all US angel investors, only 19% were women and only 4% were minorities. And at the same time, a very prominent angel investor was asked at a tech event what he looks for when he is going to invest in a company. And he very simply said, someone like me. And I was very glad he said it aloud, because a lot of people are thinking it, they're just not saying it. And so I decided to take that very sterile term, pattern recognition, and turn it on its head. And my thought was, let's engage more women and people of color on the angel investing side, because we're probably going to be more open about investing in women and people of color entrepreneurs. And as many of you know, entrepreneurs are everywhere, capital isn't. And so we're thrilled to be bringing back Python Fellowship's Angel Investing Bootcamp to DC this spring, particularly because I'm passionate about activating local capital for local entrepreneurs. And that's one of the reasons of the many that I'm excited to be here today. So I have 3 main sections to my talk that I wanted to share with you. The first one is really who's here. So I'll talk a little bit about that. Then why now? Because you kind of need reminding. And then for her. So who's here? I had the opportunity to hear Ruth Simmons, former president of Brown University, speak at an event a while back in New York City. And she is the first Black president of an Ivy League institution, the first woman president to serve at Brown. And she was urging the crowd in the room. She said, I urge all of you in the room who call out, who speak up, to continue doing so, because there might be people in the room who don't realize or don't feel that they have a voice. And that was so powerful to me, because a lot of times, I personally thought that I was the one calling out the elephant in the room because other people were just apathetic. And to remember that some of us don't have access to our voice is very important. And I want to take a moment today to thank all of you in the room who do call out, who do speak up, because I know it's exhausting to use our voice. And for those of us who do have access to it, let's continue to use it so that more people will have the opportunity to find theirs. So just want to thank you. Some of you, now it's about white guys, so prepare yourself, white guys. I heard that there were some white men in the room. Great, thanks for joining us. I particularly like allies who understand that they're allies and that they're supporting women and people of color in our movement. And guess what? Research actually shows that it's kind of important to have white guys as allies. You know, it turns out that women and people of color are penalized when we foster diversity. When white guys foster diversity at work, they're recognized. They're seen as benevolent. So when you go back to your offices or where you go to, or if you're thinking about what sponsor to have, think about the power of engaging the white men in the room, and white guys, think about who you could really be helping bring up through the ranks. So that's the kind of like who's here. The why now. I had an opportunity to speak at Women 2.0 conference in San Francisco a few weeks back, and a young black woman approached me right after my talk, and she thanked me for being visible, for being out, for speaking up, calling out, and then her eyes started welling up, and I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but my eyes are welling up too. And she told me that she had recently been invited to pitch her startup, her tech startup in LA, and that she had gone, and that this very prominent LA-based angel investor had approached her and given her his trash. And she clarified, actually, I was invited today to pitch my startup. And he doubled down, and he said, well, get rid of my trash. And she told me, this is exactly why I want to be a successful entrepreneur. I want to succeed so then I can become an angel investor, and then I can fund people of color entrepreneurs so they don't have to face what I face today, what I face now. And I told her, you can and you will change the face of angel investing. So an example of for her. So in terms of for her, I wanted to share with you one of my current favorite quotations. It's from Lorraine Cortes Vasquez. She's the EVP of Multicultural Marketing at ARP, and she said something at an event I was recently at, and she said, lift while climbing. That's very tweetable. Remember, hashtag LL2014. Lift while climbing. And one of my favorite lift while climbing stories actually comes courtesy of Nilofer Merchant. She has an HBR blog, and her post was called, Is Bias Fixable? And in her post, she recounts how Marilyn Monroe played a very interesting role in promoting Ella Fitzgerald's career. It turns out that Marilyn Monroe asked the owner of the Mocambo bar, which apparently back then was where things happened, and asked, I want you to invite Ella Fitzgerald to sing, and I promise that I will take the front center seat, the front center table, if you do. And so he said, okay, I'll invite her. And day after day after day, Marilyn Monroe is there, taking front seat. And of course, the press was there, which meant the Mocambo owner was happy. And this really helped fuel Ella Fitzgerald's career. So, which I think is such an awesome story, and I'm glad to be sharing it in DC. And I wanted to leave you at least with this question, and I ask you to either tweet me at nakisnakis and include the hashtag LL2014. Today, as we're all here together, I want you to commit to lifting someone while climbing. And so my question that I would love for all of you to answer on Twitter, so there's accountability, who would you commit today to lift as you continue to climb? Thank you.